Okay. Did you guys bring a calculator by any chance? Some of you did? Okay. Because maybe I should have told you to bring one, um, because I want to talk about I wanted to do this classwork right here. So how many of you do not have a calculator? Raise your hand. Okay. So if you have a calculator, you can fill out the Y values for this table. If you don't have one, I'm going to show you how to do it using Excel. Do you guys want to learn a little bit of spreadsheet stuff? If you don't, it's fine. If you do, I'll show you. So let me do a different screen share here. Let me, shoot, I already did it in my previous class, but I'm going to do it all over. So if you have your calculator, you could just fill out that table. So in case you didn't see, it was the function f of x was equal to x squared plus 1. Your point was equal to 1, 2, like this. And then you were trying to figure out an xy table. So you have x here, and then y is equal to f of x here. And the points that we were looking at was 1.1, 1.01, 1.001, and 1.0001. So if you want to use your calculator, you could figure that out real quick. If you want to use a spreadsheet to do it, if you go to the Google homepage, there's these sort of like collection of 9 dots in the corner, and you can open up Google Sheets like so. So you may have to, oops, wait, am I screen sharing this? Hold on, let me just fix this 1 second. Let's share this Google Sheets thing. All right, cool. So we're gonna open up a blank sheet like this. And now you can see that this is a spreadsheet type thing. So I'm gonna label my X values over here. And then I got my f of x over here, or my y values over here. And I'm gonna write in the different X values. So this is gonna be 1.1, 1.01, 1.001, and 1.0001, like that. And what I want to do for this y part right here is I kind of want to program in my function. So anytime you do a formula in here, do you know what character you have to put first? Yeah, you have to put an equal sign first. So you got to put equals. And then what I want to do is I want to refer to this cell to the left. So how do I identify this cell? Well, if you look, there's letters across the top and there's numbers along the side. So this cell is called A2, like that. So if I want to grab whatever's in this cell, I'm not going to type the number. I'm just going to type in A2. And I want to square it. So the way you get exponents is you put a little caret, and I'm going to put 2 like this. And I want to add 1 to it. So I'm going to put plus 1. So does anyone have any questions before I hit enter? This is how I'd program the formula in. Okay. Now I'm going to hit enter. At this point, it gave me the answer, but it also has this suggested autofill. In other words, they're willing to copy this formula all the way down for me, which I mean, I want them to do. Thank you. You know, so let me scroll if I can. Just a little, not so much. Oh my goodness. Oh, not too far. I'm just trying to get this checkbox so I can agree. And now we have all our values. You don't have to like punch it in on your calculator. Does that make sense? So, well, I guess I just did your classwork for you, but it's the same as just punching the numbers into a calculator. Is there any questions about this? Yes. You can do it for your homework and stuff. This is not something I'm going to test you on. This is to get the idea of what a limit is. I'm not going to ask you this on a test. This is just to get the idea of a limit. So I'll let you know. I'm going to ask you, like the first standard is in 1.5, and I'll be pretty specific about what I want you to be able to reproduce for me. But when you look at this sequence of numbers, does it look like they're going to a particular value? I mean, yes. What number does it look like it's going to? 2 is correct. Okay. So we can write our values. I guess since I did it, I'll just write it down. Where's my pen? So we get 2.21, 2.021, 2.002001. Oh, I forgot a 0 here. And then 2.0002001. Okay, cool. So let me go back to my iPad here. That's the wrong one. Okay. So now that you have those values, I want you to calculate the slopes, just like we did over here. So this part I want you to do, okay? Take a few moments to calculate those slopes, and we'll go over the answers together. All right, good job. Good, excellent. All right, perfect. Good. Yes. For which one? So the X value is 1, so that goes there. And the Y value is 2, so that's the one that goes on top. Does that make sense? Yeah.
want to be honest. I think I'm a little unprepared right now.
Okay.
So I'm just asking. I'm
Yeah. No, this is what I want.
That's not like it's like usually.
Use your tutor. Use your private tutor. It doesn't bother me. I encourage that. Yeah. Are you good? No. Yeah, that looks right. So wait, what? No end meeting for all. What is this? So in case you were having difficulties getting started, the slope is the change in y values over the change in x values. So you need two y values, right? So your point is going to be 1, 2. So that means that this is one of the fixed x value, or what I called a over here. And then 2 is the y value. So I'm calling that guy b. So that's kind of like, in this case, b would be equal to 2 here, like this. And we're moving this xy point closer and closer to this point right here. We're trying to calculate the slope. So you'll notice what I did was the slope is the change in y values over the change in x values. So I grabbed that first y value of 2.21, and then I grabbed the y value of my fixed point of 2 over here. And I subtracted those guys, that's the numerator. And then I took the first x value of 1.1, and I took my fixed one over here. I subtracted those guys, and then I divided those two numbers. And you got 2.1 or 2.01? Okay. So for the first one, you get 2.1. For the second one, you got 2.01. For the third one, you got 2.001. And for the last one, you got 2.0001. So where does it look like this thing is going? Towards 2. So I have a question for you. My question is this: should I say the limit as x approaches 1 of my function was x squared plus 1 minus the y value of 2 divided by x minus the x value of 1? Is it correct for me to say that this is true? Is this what I just calculated? So this is the x value. I'm sorry, this is the y value, right? That's the function. This is the fixed point B. This is the x value that I'm moving. And this is the fixed point A. And we are saying, oh, it looks like it's going to 2. So my question is this how I express that idea? Yes or no? No one wants to say yet. Does anyone want to fix this somehow to make it more precise? Did anyone maybe watch those videos and say, this is really close to what you need to say? Exactly. So how many of you sensed that but just didn't say anything? Good. So if you had watched those videos, we had talked about coming from 2 directions, right? So one direction was if you pretend that you have a number line that looks like this, and your x value of 1 is right here. When the limit exists, you need to be able to come from this side, that's the positive side, or you come from this side, that's the negative side. And you need both of those answers to be the same for the limit to exist. That's what we had talked about on 1.5. So in this particular case, we're only coming from the positive side of 1. So really, I should say, oh, this is what we just did. Oops. this right here is what we had just calculated. I put the plus here to indicate that I'm plugging in positive numbers that are a little bit bigger than 1. Does that make sense to everybody? Is there any questions? Yes.
Positive side, right? Then couldn't you? I'm just like wondering why can't you put like x plus 1 or the parentheses plus 2 that itself?
I'm not sure. You want to put a +2 here? And why did you want to do that? Oh, you'd get a different result. Yeah. So let me explain why. Like, I understand. I understand your question now. So this expression right here is fixed. It's fixed because this is the change in the y values. This guy is the change in the x values. When we talk about coming from the positive side and the negative side, we're talking about which numbers we are plugging in for x. So all these numbers, you see how these numbers get closer and closer to 1? But these numbers are coming from the right. So can someone clarify things for us by showing us, if I wanted to calculate the limit as x approaches 1 from the negative side of this x squared plus 1 minus 2 x minus 1, what numbers would I want to plug in for the x values? Negatives, we want to stay close to 1. So 0 is here. So if you plug negative numbers, you'd be like way over there. You're going to say negative as well? So I understand why you want to say negative, because we use that little minus sign here. But the minus isn't in front. If the minus is in front, that makes it -1. The minus is sort of to the right over here. 0.011, that's coming from the left side of 0, from the right side of 0. Exactly. You'd have 0.9. That's a little bit less than 1. 0.99. Now that's even closer to 1. 0.999. That's even closer to 1. And 0.9999. So, like, the answers that you guys say make sense, like from the way your brain is working, but that's not really what we mean. So I should write this on my paper here. If you come from the left, we're plugging in 0.9, 0.99, 0.999, 0.9999. If you're coming from the right, you're going to be plugging in 1.1, 1.01, 1.001, 1.0001, like that. So you really need to stay close to the number 1. You're not going closer to 0 or going closer to -1. It's really located at that value of 1. Does that idea make sense to you? So let me just check. Let me check, and that this dying marker thing kind of annoys me. So these markers have been used in 2 years. Oh, I have the thing. I just, I have the reloads. I got a zillion too. I was gonna test this guy out. Oh, look at that. That looks so good. Just checking to see that you follow what I'm saying. When's your birthday? October 14th. Okay. So if I ask you to calculate the limit as x goes to 14 I don't care what this is. That's irrelevant. All I'm saying is we're going close to 14. If I come from the positive, if I come from the negative side, I want to know what X values I should plug in. If I come from the positive side of 14, I want to know what X values I should plug in. You get the idea. You see that? You see that? To the right side. That's right. You're just getting closer and closer on either side of the 14. So I could change this number and I would change those, but I think you guys get the idea, right? Okay. So like I said, this is the idea that I want you to get. I'm not looking to ask you on a quiz to evaluate this, and you don't need to do Excel to evaluate that. I just that idea of what's going on. Any questions? So this will tie in with the 1.5 section in a second. Did you guys do part C yet? If you haven't, try part C. Just to make sure you're using all the right stuff. What's the point? They give us the point right here. The point is 1, 2. And what's the slope M that we're using? Just to be clear, 2. So take a second to write the equation of the line, please. Oh wait, I just answered this. I meant part D is you do part D. Find the equation of the tangent line.
Equation of the tangent line look like again?
Yeah, you're not the only one that's wondering that. So let me remind you. So last class we had said that there's 2 things you need to find the equation of a tangent line. What were those 2 things again? Point and a slope. So they gave me a point. The point is 1, 2. In the past, I called it x0, y0. And then the slope m was equal to 2. So if you guys remember, the way you calculated the slope was y minus y0 over x minus x0 is equal to m. And then what I had said was, oh, if we just take this and move it up to this side, then you could write it like this. So what you're going to do now is you're going to plug in your y0. You're going to plug in your x0. And you're going to plug in your slope. And then you're going to simplify it. So just take a second to try that. Math is the kind of thing that makes perfect sense when you watch it and follow along. And then when you try to do it yourself, it's very easy not to know how to begin. So I want to make sure you at least try a few examples yourself. All right. Everyone good? Okay, so you got y minus y0 is equal to m times x minus x0. And then we're gonna have y minus 2 is equal to 2 times x minus 1. And then we have to distribute So when you distribute the right-hand side, you get 2x minus 2. We can add 2 to both sides, and when you add 2 to both sides, you get y is equal to 2x. So hopefully you guys got that. Is there any questions about?
We just put the numbers of y equals m equals b.
Correct, yes. So there's a second method. This one uses point slope formula. And then we could do a second method. The method you're talking about is you have y equal to mx plus b like this. You know that the m is equal to 2, so you put a 2 there. You know that your x value is 1 and your y value is 2. So then you can solve for b. So when you simplify this, you get 2 is equal to 2 plus b. This tells you that b is equal to 0. So then your formula would be y is equal to 2x because the b is equal to 0. So this is another way to do it. This way uses the slope intercept form. That makes sense?